Hello everyone, welcome to another YouTube tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to create a simple CLI random number guessing game using Golang programming language. So without further ado, let's get started. For this tutorial I'll be using a Visual Studio Code editor, but you can feel free to use any other code editor or IDE of your choice, but I decided to stick to VS Code for its simplicity. So open up some kind of folder on your system and open that up in your code editor or IDE that you chose. So I have already created this tutorial folder inside of my desktop, then I have opened it up inside VS Code. So before we start writing any code, we first of all have to create a module for our project. But this project is very simple, so it is not pretty necessary for us to create a module, but it is always a good idea to follow the best practices. So I'm gonna create a module for this tutorial as well. So let's open up your terminal and type in this command to create a module for your Go project. So go mod init and give the name of your module. So I'm gonna give something like random number guessing game. Hit enter and clear your terminal and exit, because we will not need this terminal right now. Then create a main.go file in which you write the main functionality of your game. So let's write this package main declaration at the top and import our FMT. FMT is going to be one of the few libraries that we will need in our simple project. So let's create our main function, and first of all I want to display some kind of welcoming message to the user. So let's say fmt print line, welcome to random number guessing game. So after that I want to inform the user about simple rules of this program, of this game. So let's say print line as well, you need to guess a random number between 0 and 100 ... Then we will need an infinite while loop to be able to run the game multiple times without exiting the program. So for this I will need to create this running flag. So running is going to be initially equal to true. Then in my different game rounds I want to be able to know what is the current game round. So for that I need to create another integer variable called current round, not just round. So current round, it is going to be equal to 0 initially. So let's create this infinite while loop. So in Go, as you know, we don't have a while loop. That's why we have to use this for loop, which works interchangeably like a while loop in Go. So let's say while running, then I want to increment my current round by 1 because currently a new round has started. So let's say here fmt print line, not print line but printf, because I want to display the current round as well in this quotation marks. So let's add that new line character to separate our previous round with the current round, and add those dashes to be able to view it nicely. So let's say round d and the same number of dashes here, and new line character because I'm using printf, not print line. So now let's specify the current round for this d here. After that I want to generate my random number. So to generate a random number in Go, we can use the rand library, which we have already out of the box in Go. So let's create a random number variable. It is going to be equal to this rand and int n. So it has automatically imported that from mass rand v2. This stands for version 2, but we also have this first version, but it does not have this int n function that we want to use. It just has this int. So let's go with v2, then turn this into int n. This int function gives us a pseudo random number between 0 and 2 to the power of 32. That's basically the boundary of integer variable inside of the memory. That's why we are using int n, because we don't want that large numbers. We just basically want random number between 0 and 100. That's why we use this function. So inside of this function we have to specify an n, which is going to be an up boundary of our random number range. So int n generates, as I said, a random number between 0 and our specified n. So our n that we want to specify is 100 because we want to create a random number between 0 and 100. After that, let's create this attempts variable, which is going to be equal to 0 initially, because in our game we want to count the number of attempts it took for the user to guess that random number. That's why we have to create that variable outside here. Then we want to create this guess variable of type integer, which is going to be the current user guess. Below, let's create this infinite while loop one more time, which is going to basically prompt the user for the user's guess until the user finds that random number. So this loop is going to basically keep asking the user for the random number until they find it. So let's say here attempts plus plus, because it took one more attempt at this point for the user to find that random number. And let's print this message, this print take a guess. After that, I want to say if underscore error equals to fmt scan line to our guess up here. Then if error does not equal to nil, I want to do something. So I'm using this if statement because I am not sure that the user will type in exactly the integer value, valid integer value. That's why this part of the code is error prone. That's why I have to tackle that error inside of this if statement by checking that up here. So if it couldn't get the integer guess correctly, I want to say fmt print line invalid guess, then simply say continue to start this loop from the beginning. After that, I want to check my guess to different states. So if my guess strictly equals to my number, then my random number, then it means that I have found this random number successfully. So now I can say something like correct, then let's say printf, then the random number was this number, and specify my random number. Then fmt printf, I want to display the number of attempts for the user it took to find that random number. So let's say it took you this much attempts to find it. Then let's specify my attempts. Also, I have to say here new line because I'm using printf, not println. So here I'm gonna say if else if my guess is greater than random number, I wanna just hint the user that in which direction they're going. If their guess is greater than random number, then the random number is between 0 and their guess. So here let's say fmt print line too high. Otherwise I want to say too low, because basically if our guess was not greater than random number nor equal to random number, then it basically means that it was less than random number. So also I'm missing here the break statement, because after the user finds that random number correctly, we want to exit this infinite while loop. So after this while true, I want to ask the user if they want to play this game one more time. So let's say here if now fmt.print do you want to play again, and let's specify the options that the user can type, which are yes, no. Then I have to create some kind of variable here to take the user's decision. So var, that is going to be again. I'm gonna call it again because it is responsible for the user's play again choice. So it is going to be of type string. So let's fmt scan line to that, scan line, and our again. We don't have to write this if statement for this scan line because we are scanning the input for this string, so hopefully we shouldn't get any kind of issue, any kind of trouble with that. But in this case we probably will have some kind of trouble because the user accidentally might type in some kind of garbage string instead of a valid integer. That's why this part is essential here. for our program not to crash. Then I want to check if strings dot to lower our again string equals to n. If that is the case, I want to set my running flag to false, which is basically gonna quit this outer infinite loop on the next iteration. So after we break this outer loop, I want to print some kind of goodbye message. So let's say here, if fmt print line goodbye, something like this. And probably now our program should work fine without any issues, so it is time for us to test it out. So let's open up the terminal and run our program, run our project. So either type in go run dot or go run main.go. So let's go with go run dot to run the current project. So let's run it, and we can take a guess in our first round. So let's say 50, then it is too low, then let's go with 75. Too high, then let's go with something like 63. Too low, 68. Too low, 73. Too high, maybe 71, maybe 69. Okay, it's 70. Yeah, correct. Our random number was 70, and it took me 8 attempts to find it, which is very poor. So let's try to play one more time. So take a guess. 50, too high, maybe 25. Too high, okay, 13. Too high, 5. Too high, 3. Alright, the random number was 3 in this case, and it took me 5 attempts to find it. So do you want to play again? No, let's try to quit this time. And we have this goodbye message, and our program quit successfully. So that is it for our project. This was a simple random number guessing game that we have implemented using Golang programming language. If you like this tutorial, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. In the future, we will be creating more similar Golang projects from scratch, so stay tuned.